So we're going to look at interpreting box and whisker plots that have already been created for us. So there's a lot of things we can tell from a box and whisker plot. Some of it is just normal data information. So for example, we can find our range, which is our maximum number minus our minimum number, or our biggest minus our smallest. So this is the same as we did from other data sets. So we just need to go ahead and approximate the points. It's a little bit hard when we don't have exact values, but I'd say our maximum is about at 33 and our minimum is 4. So we would take 33 minus 4 and we'd get our range of 29. We can also very easily find our median because remember, our median and our Q2 are the same thing. So we just need to find our Q2 value, which is at 13, and that's the same as our median. So we have this new thing. Oh, we skipped this part. What is 25? What percent of data is from 4 to 20? Okay, so we talked about each of the quartiles being 25% of our data, which is quite important, and we use that quite frequently. So it's saying from 4 to 20, what percentage of our data lies there? So we know that each quartile has 25% of our data points, even if they don't look even. It has 25% of our data points. So this range from 4 to 20 has 3 of our quartiles, which means we're going to add those together and say it has 75% of our data, with the remaining 25% being over here in our last whisker. Okay, so here's the new piece, this thing that we call the interquartile range, which we shorthand to IQR. So this is the range of the box, or the middle 50%, right? Because we have 2 sections in our box and each section has 25. So that's our middle section. And we find the IQR by taking the biggest quartile minus the smallest quartile. So our Q3 minus our Q1. So in our plot over here, our Q3 is at 20 and our Q1 is at 10. So we'll label those Q1 and Q3. So we can say our IQR is 20 minus 10. Oops, I switched colors accidentally there. 20 minus 10, or 10. So our IQR here is 10. I'm going to take a look at a couple other questions that we can be asked when analyzing a box and whisker plot. So we already saw we can be asked to find the median, but this one is asking us to also find Q1 and Q3. So we want the Q1 value, the median, which is also Q2, and then we want Q3. So if we remember on a box and whisker plot, our 3 vertical line segments that make up our box are our Q1, Q2, and Q3. And remember, Q2 is just median. So these are the 3 values that we're asked to find. Our Q1 was at 36, our median, or Q2, was at 44, and our Q3 was at 60. Knowing this allows us to find our interquartile range, or our IQR. Our IQR is our Q3 value minus our Q1 value. So that's 60 minus 36, which tells us that our IQR for this data set is 24. What data value represents the lowest 25% of data? So we had said before that each of these is 25%, every single one, because we broke things up into quarters, and 25% is a quarter of our data, and we want the lowest. So the lowest part of my graph is down here. It's my first whisker. And we want to say what data values are representing that. So we can give a range. So we can say data values that are between 12 to 36 are representing the lowest 25% of our data. Okay, so for this next part, I'm going to erase most of what I have written here. on my graph, except for the 25%, because that's what we're going to be using here. So it says if there are 8 pieces of data from 60 to 76. Okay, well, here's 60 to 76, and there are 8 pieces. How many pieces of data do I expect from 36 to 76? Okay, well, let's start by what does it mean that there's 8 pieces of data in that whisker? Each piece of a box and whisker plot, like we saw in the video that came before this one where we were creating, has the exact same number of data points. So if just one part has 8, that means every single piece has 8 because they're even quarters of the data. So we can use this to say how many pieces of data are from 36 to 76. So 36 is here and going all the way to 76, and that includes 3 of our quarters of data. So we want to add those together, and we get a total of 24 pieces of data between 36 and 76.